evening, everyone. Hello, 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 hello. Hey, listen, if you see my tagline, I changed my name to R Payne, MPS 1241. And so it's probably easy to reach me there. Anyway, I got something different for you tonight. I know the title might not really tell you where I'm coming from because this is not going to be the typical blame game kind of show. I didn't want to do that. So I hope everybody can hear me okay because I think I'm doing okay. I think my voice is up loud enough. So this is not going to be the typical blame game, and it's not going to be just pointed at the women. I want to also talk about the ramifications of single fatherhood with guys who have multiple baby mamas. Okay, so it's not just about single mothers, and it's not just about them. It's about the ramifications and the impacts on the people around them. Uh, I don't think we talk about that enough about the mothers, the grandmothers, the community, the taxpayer, all of those things. We need to talk about what's going on. And if we could avoid pointing fingers at who's more to blame, I'd rather not have that discussion. We talk about that shit to death. I mean, I don't think we get anywhere. So after I point out a few things about how this thing is working, at least how I observe it in the community, in my anecdotal experience with my family, because I keep the family tree from the greatest generation till now. I have every name on there. It's like 200 and something people. And I've seen the marriages, I've seen the unwed births, I've seen all of that kind of stuff. And out my own anecdotal family, and I'm saying we're not unicorns in terms of we're not different than any other families. We might be closer, but we still live in the same world as everybody else. So we have a little bit of everything going on in our family since it's so big. It's pretty much a representative sample of all the kind of things you could think of. So I'm not going to really get into those specifics, but I can use some of my experiences by living in a communal household with my cousins and my aunts and my grandmother and all that kind of stuff to tell you that I pretty much know what I'm talking about from my vision. And everybody else could probably do that too if you have any age to you whatsoever. Uh, Anyway, so listen, so this is not going to be the typical thing. So here's the kind of format I want you to see what I'm saying. I'm going to correct the title a little bit, and I think I've done that. It's about single motherhood and single fatherhood, and specifically for those fathers with multiple kids, multiple babies, mothers out there. Hey, what's going on, man? All right, great, great. I'm glad you can hear me. So that's one thing. So the title is straight. So this is not just about women. So any women in the audience, it ain't gonna be about you tonight. Well, you're gonna get some, but it's not just about you, and we're not pointing the fingers at you. All right. So those are two things. I have a couple of videos I'm gonna show, and kind of to emphasize my point. One about a mother and saying her piece, and one about a man who has 40 kids by 20 different women, and he's doing an interview, so it's kind of a controlled environment. And then I want to talk some possible solutions. Right, there's solutions that need to be had for both men and women, and no, they are not the same. Some things might be similar, but the way we talk to women and the way we talk to men are going to be slightly different, and we got to realize that we don't take information the same, we don't process it the same, and the things that we need to do are not the same, even though we're looking for the same kind of result, some kind of result to get us off the path that we're on, which I think is already too late, and to create a new path that may be happening already. So I'm going to talk about that as well. And then the last thing, people who want to pop up and say their piece about the solutions or what they think the solutions are. If I miss something about what I think the problems are, and you can say that. But what I want to avoid is any arguments. I'm trying to get better. I am trying to get better. If I can never yell again on these damn airwaves, it'll be too great. And so I'm not going to play that game. I'm not you. If you have an opinion that you want to get into the muck and mire about who's to blame and all that shit, I would. If I had the controls, I'd cut your ass off. But that's one. I wanted to hear what you think the problems are and what you think your solutions might be. And again, we're not going to solve anything other than, let's just say that we either hope that there's a way we can get out of this or we can't. So those are legitimate answers. And then, so that's kind of setting the tone of where I want to go. So I don't know who's, but before I get to the ramifications of single motherhood, I want to play a clip. If you could put the first clip on for anybody who's here, maybe we could play it again later on. But let's play the first clip with the lady, the mother, uh, who has an opinion to her daughters about looking after their kids. So if you can play, I hope the clips work today. You know.
Thoughts like that because y'all so. What grandparents supposed to do? Let me tell you, the new generation, y'all millennials, y'all got it all fucked up. The reason why is because grandparents, because I became a grandparent, does not automatically make me the babysitter or a daycare. Grandparents, true grandparents, they're supposed to raise their children right to where when y'all start having kids, y'all can financially provide for your own children and secure their daycare so you can go to work, so you can go out, so you can do anything else. Grandparents. See, let me tell you where you got it wrong. No. True grandparents are supposed to be able to call for their grandkids. Y'all supposed to come over here. No, that's for the daddy. That's for the daddies. When the daddies ain't in the home, that's where they go for the daddies. Oh. They go to their daddies for the summer because y'all got a split custody. This how y'all got it fucked up. Grandparents are supposed to be able to come to your house and stay with you and visit with their grandkids. You're supposed to be able to drop your kids off when your grandparents call for them and in their leisure time. Grandparents are not supposed to be daycares. Everybody's time is valuable. We have our own life. We work very hard to get everybody out of the house. Why would we want to raise your kids and keep your kids? That's out of order. But black people, the black culture is so dysfunctional. That's why y'all think that grandparents is supposed to be keeping kids and raising kids. It don't go that way. Y'all got it messed up. So they're not going to stop hydrating. And guess what? Yes, stuff like that's a portion. I'm supposed to be able to say, yo, on the 27th, I booked for me and my grandkids. Everybody going. Whoever ain't going, I don't need y'all money. I don't need y'all nothing. I don't need nothing. I just need my grandkids. Right. That's what we're supposed to do. So we can't just drop them off when we want to. No, it don't supposed to be dropping them off when you want to. Like, here go your grandkids. No. See, no. It don't go like that. You know why? Because we already had our lives with raising kids. We don't supposed to be tied down raising fucking kids. We supposed to be gardening, going to the senior citizens place, bingo, and all that other fucking shit. That's what we raised y'all for. To be able to take care of y'all kids. We didn't send y'all out when y'all did go. Where y'all go? The summers. And where did y'all go? To y'all other people. Your daddy people. If the daddy is not in the home, he's supposed to do the summers. Y'all supposed to rotate holidays. What the fuck? Y'all, but see what it is? Y'all think that we supposed to do that because y'all got a sense of entitlement. Y'all think just because I'm the mom, I'm the grandma, that you're supposed to push your kids off on me. That's not how it goes. But it takes strong mothers like me to let you know the shit don't go like that to get it right. Other than that, I'll be sitting here rocking all y'all goddamn kids and y'all doing this, doing that. No. Trust and believe they will be in the system. They will be at the shelter. They will be wherever they need to be because you didn't do what the fuck you were supposed to do as a parent. Now, it had nothing to do with me. You wouldn't. I most definitely fucking would.
All right. I think she got the point going. We got the point.
Doing it. I know what kind of life I want to fucking live.
Hey, man. So, listen, I hope whoever's here hears that. We might be able to play that again later on, but she's telling the truth. And that's one of the ramifications that I think that a single mother who is not self-sustaining, that she's showing her female selfishness because she takes for granted that there's a mother or a grandmother who's going to take care of her kid while she continues to frolic. You know what I'm saying? And that shit ain't right. But see, now I don't know if whether this is a skit or not. Let's just put that to a side, okay? Let's just put it to the side. That's the kind of message that women should be telling their kids when they're growing up. Don't take me for granted because I am not going to watch your kids. And listen, you know what? And I'll just go for me and my wife. My mother in law made it clear that she's not watching our kids. She didn't say that. We just knew it. Her daughter knew it. We never, if we just wanted to go out to eat or go to the movies or any of that shit, we never asked her. The only time she took our kids is when she wanted them. Just like that lady said, when she wanted to be grandmother, she called for the kids. And they were a little bit older when she did that. And I could take it, and that's how it's supposed to be. So what are the ramifications of a woman who is not self-sustaining, right? But having a baby out of wedlock, expecting her mother or her grandmother to take care of her, right? I mean, at best, at best, there's a certain amount of, arrested development, right? You know, uh, that goes on for the girl, right? Whatever her plans were, if she's not in college yet, that gets pushed off. Or if she's not out of college yet, her career gets pushed off. And well, how about the mother? There's a financial resources that one has to pay, and all her plans get put off, or the grandmother's plans get put off. So there's a lot of there's a lot of bad things to go around for all of them, right? For when the women do that, and that's the easy thing, right? The thing that's harder than that, it perpetuates the generational decline. Like there's no generational wealth being built because mother, grandmother, and daughter are all still taking care of babies on a continuous basis. They don't have any peace dividend per se, but just besides raising kids, especially if a woman or the girl has more than one kid, right? So there's mental pressure. There's other pressures that will come up as well, So there's a disadvantage to doing that. So at best, there's arrested development for everybody, and at worst, we all know the stat lines of single kids growing up in dysfunctional families. We already know that, so I don't want to cover that. And this is not an exhaustive list, but that there's impact in that one family when a young lady decides to have a baby. She doesn't confer with her mother or her grandma. She just has one. And then she's just expecting all the support. And if she doesn't have that support, then she has to lean on the state. Luckily for my family and, for us, right? And after the Gen Xers, because the baby boomers, the silent generation, we pretty much were all married. We had infrastructure, we had houses, we had places to live. And then some of the Gen Xers in our family, the same. My first cousins, my brother and sister, they were Gen Xers. They got married, they had infrastructure, and a couple of them had kids out of wedlock. So they were able to lean on their mother and grandmother for those kids. And the four things that happened for all the kids in my family that were born out of wedlock to the girls or to the guys. One, they always had a place to live. They always had food to eat. They always had clothes on their back, and they all got educated. All of them. Now, we're not unicorns, but I don't think that's typical of the community, right? The people born into my family, as big as and vast as it is, with the infrastructure of marriage, they were blessed, or else they wouldn't have had those privileges. Nobody had to go on Section 8 just to live. Or had they might have had some food stamps or whatever. I didn't know all those details, but they had homes. They had a place to rest the kids' heads. That's not typical today, and I don't think millennials and Gen Zs are going to be having that shit. I don't think. I know the Gen Zs aren't. They're the ones who are recoining the phrase work-life balance and all that shit. They ain't going to be minding nobody's children. Matter of fact, they don't even want to have kids. So that's the first clip. So so before I get to talking about the dudes and what the dudes have, if we can run the clip for the men, the guy with the 40 kids, and the 20 baby mamas. Now, when we play that, I want you to realize that, and when he comes on, I want you to realize something about this guy, because I think this cuts across racial lines, what I want to say. So, but this is a nice little interview. So dig what he says and what kind of questions they ask him.
Right. Well, Mike's here with us this morning. Mike, I understand I sort of get, though not condone, the irresponsible sex bit. Right. I can sort of understand that. What I don't get is the irresponsible breeding bit. Why has one got to lead to the other in your case?
Well, that's just the way I am.
And do you not believe in contraception?
No, I don't.
Why not?
Why not? Why not?
Well, I just don't. There's no reason for it. You know,
Well, there is a reason for it. The reason for it is that you don't end
I
up
could
with
say
40
about the
children.
Bible where God says in the Bible, go forth and multiply.
Yes, but he meant
but he's
couples to go and do that. He didn't mean it to fall solely on your shoulders and you to do it for everybody.
Should have explained it, Heidi.
Are you a religious man?
No.
There you go. So, okay, poor God's getting the blame now.
But people watching, I know, immediately will be saying, so who's paying for all these children? Who's looking after them? Clearly not you, then.
No. Some of the mothers.
But you see the mothers. I mean, okay, if you don't believe in contraception, how do you get all these women to sleep with you and not be involved in take contraception either?
Well, we should both be responsible, me and the female.
Yes.
You know, it's not just down to me.
So why aren't you?
Aren't I what?
Responsible.
I was drunk. You know, if the opportunity arose for me to have sex, I was going to go for it.
Now, you do say you're a recovering alcoholic.
Yes,
So you
I
haven't
am.
had a drink now for how many years?
Almost 5.
Well
So
done.
are you saying before that, yes, well done. Are you saying before that you were so drunk you don't remember having sex, you don't remember creating these children?
No. What I'm saying is that if I had the chance to have sex, then that's cool.
Yes.
So you haven't had a drink in 5 years. Have you had any children in the past 5 years?
No.
No. So there was a correlation then between who you were. And tell me, who was Mike Halpin when he was in the grip of alcohol?
I was a dirty alcoholic. I was irresponsible. I've always loved my kids. No one can ever take that away from me.
Okay, yeah, you did.
And as the people of Britain have
But
said,
that's about the end of this one. I think we got
I
the
just
message
didn't
on
care.
this one. All right, so so you heard the man, right? And there was a reason why I used a white dude, okay? Because I want to take race out of this thing. And he said something I always said, and he didn't say it quite like I said, that a man will take sex from a woman any way she'd give it. And he just kind of pretty much said that. And it's true, right? And it doesn't matter whether you're black or white. He used I hated the excuse that he was drunk. I might not have been drunk in all those times, because sometimes guys get drunk, they can't even get it up. So he used that as an excuse. They gave him the out, but he actually kind of intimated he knew what he was doing. All right. So listen, so one of the things when we talk about the ramification of a single father with multiple baby mothers, right? That has a tremendous impact on the families of each one of those mothers. For in his example, that's 40 families. No, that's 20 families. And that's 40 kids. You know what I'm saying? That's tremendous amount of impact for one man. Right? So when a woman has a kid or multiple kids, she tends to localize her burden on the people in her immediate family. But when a man like that is spreading his seed willy-nilly across the diaspora, he impacts a bigger footprint, a much bigger footprint. So before I go further, listen, one of the things I think we do when we make a mistake, there's a certain amount of romanticism that folks have for like a Nick Cannon, right? He has 12 babies from 6 baby mothers. Well, 5, because I don't consider Mariah Carey a baby mother. They were married, okay? The rest of them, they were looking to have a father. They were looking to punch their maternal, clock. So they said, Nick Cannon, you'll do. And so they had kids with this dude. They all know it. They all didn't care. But those women aren't typical women either. They might have had they might have been otherwise self-sustaining. Nick Cannon pays out like $3 million a year in child support across those 12 women. So the footprint that he makes, he pays for. That doesn't make it right, but he pays for that. And the women have to pay for it in their own way because he's not going to be able to satisfy those women, while they're waiting their turn for him to show back up. And I don't think they are. The women don't behave like that. So he's not an issue. It's not his issue is different than the typical man who has multiple kids. So over the lifetime of the 18 years times 3 million is $54 million. Nick Cannon most likely is going to be able to pay that. He's most likely going to be able to pay that. So let's get to a more realistic scenario. And then after I go through this, it's just a couple more minutes, and whoever wants to come up can come up. But give me a second. How about the dudes in Memphis, the 3 men in Memphis who have 81 children? 3 men, 81 children. None of them are paying child support because they got way past the point where child support even makes sense for them, right? So that's 81 guys. That's 81 families impacted by 3 men. Not just the women who are having the kids, right? It was 46 women. So there's 46 women with 81 children, 46 families impacted, because somehow the families get involved because the women take the kids. These guys ain't minding none of those kids. So I was saying, okay, let's do some numbers around this shit, right? And we got more and more examples of this. So here's one of the things I wanted to say. Let's just do some numbers. They say if you go in and say how much it costs to raise a kid from birth to 18 years old, the general consensus is like $237,000. Now, I'm saying that's the general Google consensus. You can go ahead and look that up yourself. And I thought it was much, but it's not, because it comes out to about $13,000 a year for each kid. So if you multiply $237,000 by 46 families, 46 kids, that's $10.9 million over 18 years, right? So let's kind of go ghetto. Let's just say in a ghetto, it only costs $100,000 to raise a kid from birth to 18. That's still, that's like $5.5 thousand a year. Okay, I mean a month. I mean no, a year. I'm sorry, a year. So then you multiply the 100,000 by 18 years. So it's just a lot of goddamn money, right? It's $4.6 million for 46 children over 18 years. $4.6 million at $100K a year. That's still a lot of money. So then you ask yourself, who pays? The guys ain't paying. The chicks are not paying because they on Section 8 or they're living off their parents. So that money has to be absorbed by somebody. And it's definitely absorbed by taxpayers. Are we the bulk? Probably. So the footprint is so much larger when men do this shit. So, okay, so then we can bring some people up because I want to start talking about some solutions. Anybody want to come up? Let's you can bring them up now. So I think the point comes across that we spend so much time saying who's to blame. We don't spend enough time saying what's the impact of this shit, man. This shit, the footprint for the guys, it kind of destroys the woman. it destroys the community. It impacts, well, let me say, forget about destroy. It impacts the woman, impacts the community, and it impacts the taxpayer. The level of impact may vary from person to person, from community to community, but the taxpayers seem to be impacted the most as well. And of course, we know all the bad stories about the children uh, um, not having the best benefits of growing up with the best opportunities and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff is in play. So how do we fix it? How do we begin to fix it? If you're talking about women, we begin to fix it by mothers stop enabling your children. You got to stop enabling them, telling them it's okay to have kids because you did it or your grandmother did it. That conversation has to stop. That showing them that it's okay, somehow that has to be curtailed. You got to tell them the truth of what you did, but still you can say, well, this is not what I want for you, right? We need to have more women saying, listen, it's okay to get married in your 20s. It's not okay to just go ride the carousel. And because at some point you're going to slip. You got to be honest with them that whether you like it or not, your sexual marketplace value for the best candidates of men goes down for every kid you have. That shit's true. That's not just me talking. It's true. It just works out that way. And all you women out there, y'all know it, right? So this is just something, you just got to change the conversation. And maybe you can save some women, right, from doing or making a mistake. And if you never made that mistake, then you're a beacon to some of these ladies. Tell them the truth. Tell them the difference between riding the cock carousel because the feminists told you was empowering to being a little bit more chaste. Nobody say you can't have no sex. Have some, but have some virtue. It's yours to protect. You could change society by just using that superpower. Because when men have to come to women correct, they generally come to women correct if they have to. But if they don't have to, like I said, they'll take sex from you any way you want to get it. And it's not as empowering as you think. And a lot of women, when they hit 30s and 35 years old, after they ride the carousel, carrying all that energy, useless energy from useless men, they begin to realize, God damn it, what did I really do? So how do we change the narrative? How do we change the narrative? And I think for women, that's exactly what needs to happen. You got to change the narrative. It's all right for a woman to get married at 23 years old. If she finds a guy and they're both are equally yoked and they want to conquer the future together, what's wrong with that? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. If this saves them a life of trauma and 100 dicks, what's wrong with that? So listen, that's one thing. Now, for the guy's side, I don't know how much I don't think it's easier. I don't really have the answer. I really don't have the answer because of what I think about male nature. I don't have none of this shit is an exhaustive list. But for single men, we have to emphasize what the consequences are of impregnating women you can't afford to take care of. We got to more than just saying dick discipline, because dick discipline is like saying just say no to drugs to a drug addict. Just saying dick discipline to a man who's going through his, 14 to 30 years old when shit, he's dreaming, he's still having wet dreams. How do you stop? How do you just tell him, hey, listen, just you know what? You got to say these things, but you got to tell them the consequences of not doing that, of not having protected sex. I mean, I didn't even start talking about diseases yet for both men and women. Let's just assume that's on the table as well. So I'm just trying to say, how do we fix it for men? And then how do we really fix it for men who don't give a shit? Or is it too late? Or we could just save the ones we can save? Because just like gun control, right? It only controls people who follow the law, right? Because right? Because the criminals don't give a shit about gun laws. They're gonna get guns. So So when we talk about discipline, consequences to men and all that shit, maybe to women too, but I'm talking about the men now. That doesn't curtail the guys who just want to spread their seed as a, it's just not. It just hasn't. So I don't know all the answers. Maybe some of you smart guys out there, or women for that matter, if got some better answers, well, come on up and share it with everybody. Share your answers, because I don't. I don't have them all. I freely admit it. Because, we had a conversation before, and this is what gets me with the men and women. I'm going to segue to this, right? uh, I had a conversation with him, and maybe I was screaming a little bit too much, with Information Man. And he says, we're not animals. Then I conceded, yeah, you know what? We're not animals in that sense because we have cognitive abilities. We're apex on a planet. However, we are classified as mammals and subspecies primates. So we are still subject to the natural order of things, both men and women. Whether we're animals, whether we can make a decision different than a regular animal who just thrives purely on instinct, we can. But in the absence of discernment, in the absence of, better judgment, we default to our natural nature, to our nature. That's what we default to. This is why, and I'm gonna just say these things. This is why you can't have men in female prisons. We do it, and they hide and cover up the fact that those guys are extorting sex out of those women on a regular basis. On a regular basis. To get something in their canteen, to not get put on the rip or whatever, those girls have to do favors for the guards. It's going on all across America, and everybody knows it. That's why you can't put women in men prisons, because regardless of the rules, regardless of the regulations, regardless of being fired, regardless of even getting put in jail, those women are bringing contraband in. They're banging those prisoners. They're having those kids' babies. Those prisoners' babies. You can't stop that. That's why white men didn't want black men in the same schools, in the same proximity with their white women. Because in the absence of lynching and all that, people were going to be, banging each other. That's why the Catholic Church had problems with their priests. Because they said, God, because they looked at, First Corinthians somewhere that says, if you had sex or even if you were married, you wouldn't be completely godly. You would have earthly, desires. And so they told the priests and the women that you can't have sex, something that's fundamentally natural to every human being. And then we wonder why the gods were buggering boys. You just can't turn that shit off because somebody said so. There's got to be consequence. There's got to be something that, and age is a part of it. And still, even with men, when they get older, they still do stupid shit over sex. So I'm just trying to say, how do we fix it? I think women, it might be a little bit easier to fix because there's muscle memory to when women used to be chased. It's not out of focus yet. It's not where they control, and we still have examples on this planet right now in societies where women are more chaste than they are in the West. And we see that other than small pockets, things are under control in terms of the way men have to behave. They got to go see the father. They got to do certain things to get with a woman. They got to jump through hoops. So in the West, we're down to almost our base nature. That's where we are. We're like feral animals in the woods. Now, Gen Zs, maybe they'll, whether we input it or not, old farts like us, everybody hates, maybe the Gen Zs will start, because they don't even want to have sex. A lot of them don't. They don't want to have no kids. They want to have work-life balance. Maybe they'll begin to change things, but they're just in their 20s. They got to fight the influence of the older people who are still alive. And maybe some of the millennials will be on their side as well. And maybe shit will change on its own, but I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. So, hey, listen, I wanted to, the purpose I wanted to do today is I didn't want to sit down here and say, well, the women are this, the men are that. The footprint of the man's damage to me is a lot bigger because we say only 20 to 25% of the men have impregnated like 70% of the single mothers out there. We could play with numbers. It's 70s greater than 25, but the footprint of the 25 is much greater on families than the individual woman and her family. And if we go back and forth on that, I don't think we get anywhere. We don't get anywhere, you know? So, anybody who wants to come up and, take me out of my misery and tell me what you think, I'd like to hear it. I would, So, any thoughts out there? I really appreciate it. Oh, well, let me see. So, yeah, let's get the dialogue moving. I mean, that'll be fine with me. I have some folks that said they were going to come over. Anyway, other than that, I can keep going. I'll keep going. I think that uh, the Nick Cannon effect has been detrimental to guys who are selfish and who just want to spread their seed around the place. I saw another rapper who had like 18 women. Just think about the fact that if you have a child by a guy that doesn't give a shit about you or the kid, what that does to you in your life. At best, like I said, it's arrested development. At worst, your dreams could get dashed altogether, depending on how many kids you have, depending on the circumstance you're in, depending on where you have to live. Suppose you get thrown out on the street with a kid. How do you survive that? The fact that nobody wants to get married these days. Let's examine that. Both men and women are reluctant to be married, but there's women who still want children, right? They all don't have money like Ebony K. Williams, but they just like we tell men that you should at least be self-sufficient before you start fishing for a woman. I think women should be self-sufficient before they have a baby. I think women should be self-sufficient before they have a baby. Hey, Doc, how you doing, man?
I'm fabulous, sir. I'm fabulous. Thank you
I
for.
don't know how much. I don't know how much you heard, but you got something to say on this matter?
Oh yeah. Good chunk of what you were saying. A salute to you and what you're doing and what you're talking about. Much appreciate you and allowing me to share in this space with you. And thanks for those listening in the chat. I love what you're talking about. It makes total sense. I was just talking the other day about how the hashtag like things that became popular in instant, because what you're saying to me is like, oh, that's common sense. Like, yes, why not wait until you're ready? That I was laughing about the cock carousel, but it's like, right, there was a time, and not to make this into ageism or this generation, that generation, but there was a time when you didn't want that. In fact, men were looking for virgins. So, okay, so that's shifted. But one question is why? Was like, did we just all drink from the Kool-Aid? So why the shift? And then secondly, at some point, when do we recognize that the payoff is not, is the payoff worth the shift? So you have 3 or 4 extra kids and the government says, we'll give you extra food stamps. We'll give you extra this. We'll give you extra that. Use your EBT card now at, before it used to be little corner stores. Now you can just use it anywhere, like at a cash machine.
Right.
So it seems like people are getting rewarded for some of the stuff that's really hurting us. That's what I'm thinking anyway.
So let me ask you a couple of things I said specifically. Like when a woman has a kid and she burdens her mother, her grandmother, right? Because if she's not self-sufficient, that's where she's going to go. She might even be living with her mother and grandmother. But so that's one dynamic I think we don't talk about enough, about the burdens on the parents and the grandparents, and the fact that grandparents and parents might even enable that by not saying up front, I'm not going to stand for it. So before you get pregnant, understand this. You don't have an open door here. You know, they don't say that enough. Women don't say that enough in general. But then I look at the guys and I started thinking about the impact of a man who has multiple kids with multiple women and he's not taking care of any of them. That footprint is huge.
Yeah. But you know, but if I grow up with what's that quote? What one man won't do, another man will. So if I grew up with that, dad wasn't around, it's much easier for me to at first be like, oh, I got a little shorty, but an ounce of challenge with the courts, an ounce of challenge from the mama, drama, or a case of the efforts is much easier to let go. Because
Right.
you know, someone else is gonna hit the cheeks. Some dude's gonna be around. And you know, we're also moving to this individualism. Everything is individualism. So what happened to the idea of family? What happened to the idea of union? Grandma, big grandma, or big mamas? And more of the grandparents are even saying, you're gonna be out of luck, shorty. You had them kids if you want to. I can only do so much. I let you stay at my house, stay and do whatever. But more and more of those grandmas are like, what's in it for me? Or if they do help, the quality that they're offering the kids, you know, letting the kids just do anything. So
they're tired.
Yeah.
They're tired. And you know what? They're dying.
But yeah.
They're dying off.
Yeah.
That's another thing, right? I mean, the baby boomers, I guess the youngest are like 57. Maybe a little older than that. So their baby boomers are up in age. Some of them don't want to be able to be raising a kid from 18 again because they had a kid or a grandkid that got pawned off on them, like you just said.
Yep.
And the mother, you know, if she didn't listen and had her kid out of wedlock, she's not much help because she probably enabled her daughter to do what she did.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. You know, before
how do we get out of that, Doc? How do we get out? How do we?
Yeah.
I know you don't have the answer, but what would be your opinion for us to see a change in society?
Yep. So I'm not quoting you, but I think you were close in saying this. Some of it we just did you say some of the people we can't help or can't save or something? Some of them we just can't.
Yeah,
right?
Like yes, I did say that.
So in alignment with that, there's some of it we just can't go backwards to, and then we get into a pissing match about whose generation did what, and because of this. Okay, let's move that to the side. With our current consequences, I say one thing is to look at, because I like how you were mentioning cost. Those numbers, you were adding them up, and I'm like, damn. Now, I don't know if people understand the value of that. We just see some, you know, what we see, and then the way you add that, I'm like, and then when you hit us with times per kid.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh snap! Wait. Per year, per kid, per. Huh. So I think, I think understanding the value of what the tax, not just tax as an Uncle Sam tax, but the taxing that it does on the community, on what it does is for individuals. Because we complain when the government like, I got to pay extra because so and so, I ain't gonna be paying for them folks. But one, if we start to understand the value, and it's costing our communities, costing our families, we can do it, whatever you want to call it, the new way. I can honor. It doesn't have to be the old way, but let's look at what do we, if nothing else, what do you want for the future? Do you want your legacy? Do you want what does that look like? Because if you're saying, I don't give a shit, it's really up to them. I had the kid, I did my part, I tried to love them, they're on their own. Then how do we embrace what that on our own looks like? Do we understand what that means? And we understand how to embrace it and how to do it in a way that's successful across the board? Because some people's going to impact. It's going to impact. Oh, again, not another ageism thing, but do you remember the debates about, will Social Security be around? Remember those conversations? Those asking that. Yeah. So now we have to ask honestly, cool, let your kids do what they want to do, but do you understand the risk of you being alone as a grandparent, great-grandparent? Do you understand what that means? And are you able to even grasp, value that? Nursing home versus still in your home. No retirement money, no health care aid, no nothing, loneliness. because you chose to go this. So really looking at the future consequences, not as in, oh no, we won't have Social Security, but looking at are you prepared to kind of live with that, to lay in it? Secondly, I say awareness, 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 but speak a little bit more to know your audience. If I'm speaking to all 50, 60, 40-year-olds, then yes, I'm behind them saying, what happened? What happened? But if I'm speaking to 20, 30-year-olds, I want to say, okay, it doesn't matter what happened. We're doing it your way. But do you understand? Help me understand. What is this way going to lead to? What is it going to lead to? Right. So those who can't do it, can we get them resources? Those who can do it, are they using common sense, or are they using kind of this, whatever's hot today? Feelings, 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 happiness, 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 and whatever's easy, easy, easy. So trade school, vocational schools, all that stuff's out the schools now. I don't know about where you're at, but in high schools now, vocational stuff, the classes, wood shop, and all that stuff is out.
They've been going,
So
they've been going.
So my question is, how much you're going to end up relying on this? How much are you going to be able to? I can show you how to change this oil for about $10, $15, $20, or you can go to Jiffy Lube and pay $100. Up to you.
So I think, so Doc, I think what you said, we touched on the future, right? They say that women have, some gifts of insight, but men have the foresight. So we can tell them, like I tell my daughter, I got one that's 24 years old. She's a Zer, right? She's a Gen Zer, right? So she's thinking about work. She ain't thinking about boyfriends. She's not a lesbian. She's just focused on doing. She likes music. She likes her job. She's self-sufficient, but she understands that she's not independent, right? There's a difference there, right?
Right.
But she does think about like work-life balance, things of that nature. She not, so the Z's, I saw this special on Z's. They think differently already. Some of them don't call themselves victims, but they don't want to do what their parents have done or their grandparents have done. They don't want to be bogged down with oppressive jobs or oppressive minding a lot of kids. That's why the birth rate's going down, right? And it's going to continue to go down if we got to wait on them. But there's some magic in what they're saying, because if they stay on that path, at least some of the decadence of single baby motherhood as an explosion is going to stop.
Right.
At least there's that. But just getting back to the, a lot of us don't do the numbers. When we talked about the numbers, those numbers are staggering. I talked about 3 men,
right,
who are going to cost the government, at best, $5.4 million, $4.6 million,
right,
or at worst $10.9 million. So somewhere in between is probably true. Over the next 18 years, that's just 3 guys.
Right.
Just think about, so I say when we use Nick Cannon, that's not a good example because he can afford what he's doing.
Right.
And that makes a big difference.
Big difference.
Can afford what he's doing. And so he's not a good beacon for anything. Just like Sierra and Russell Wilson's marriage is not a good thing about being a stepdaddy. That don't mean shit to Russell. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
she could have took care of that kid by herself.
Yeah.
So we can't use these celebrities as something that really is working down on the ground. It's really destitute down there. I can't even use my family because I mentioned my family. I keep the family tree, so I see how marriages went down. I've seen how single motherhood had gone up, even in my own family, from the greatest generation to Gen Zs.
Right.
And the fact is that all the illegitimate kids, and there's maybe around five to 10 of them in the whole family dynamic, but every single one of them are educated.
Right.
Every single one of them has something to eat, a place to live, somebody to love them. That's not typical in the general community.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I don't know what to say, but they did burden their parents, though, and grandparents.
Yeah. In fairness, I don't know for you, but, I had to reach a certain age before I was able to appreciate what my parents were talking about.
Right.
It may be that some of our youth have to hit that certain age or experience. Here's the problem: since things are so sensitive and don't do this and don't do that, that experience might take a little longer. So what might have hit me at 20 now may be before they're 30 or 40 before they actually have that real feeling of like, yeah, you gotta. Because I even tell mine, she has all the answers and the blah blah blah, and I just listen. Now the work that I do, so I don't want to make it seem like it's all easy, but the work that I do, I just like, okay. But here I have a question for you. You say you and your mama don't get along, right? Yeah. And so when the way you were telling me about your own shorty, what you just finished telling me, and how you don't gives no, and you don't gives no, are you ready? I'm just asking. Are you ready to have now when you are 50? Are you ready for what you and your mama had? Now, it's not going to be like that. But tell me how it's not.
Right.
So again, allowing her the space to do you. But the things you say you don't want, I just want to point out some of the things you're doing that's going to lead to the opposite. And so it's not pulling her, it's not forcing her, it's not trying to convince her. It's just showing her like, well, in your defense, what do you think? How do you, and letting her determine that on her own. She told me it's messed up. I got paid child support. Do you remember what you used to tell me? Dad, you work 3 jobs, you're never available. It's like you trying to dodge us. I mean, is life all worth the child support, the child? And now, did you just say what?
Yeah.
But that's how each generation, how we do. We have these wild ideas, but it's not until we experience it. I say, please keep doing what you're doing, what we're all doing, because if you think about it, high school, there was 1 or 2, 4 or 5 at best that were nominated to be most successful. Okay. 1 or 2, 3 or 4 nominated to be the best ... So the numbers never align. Because even when we look at these stars, Jay-Z is no example of what it's like to be broke and poor and all that if he's out there flashing $1 billion. But it just is just enough of the people to be successful that will turn around and reach back down and say, come on, no, you got to go this way, that will stay in the fight a little longer. If you're old and tired, no worries, have a seat, move out the way in a gentle way. But as long as 1 or 2 of us are still being cranked out, 1 or 2 of us are still being cranked out, that's willing to reach back to the community, willing to still make things available, common sense, fight. We want to have more, but has it ever really been that way? Have we ever really had more? It's always been those few that make it and the few who fake it.
Well, yeah, this kind of, the funny thing is that one of the things I think we realize, and I said this, I don't know if I mentioned this, we all know that we're all subject to social programming in different ways, both men and women. And right now, it's on autopilot. The things that they put in, the seeds that they've planted in our community are on autopilot. Right? And, one, we have to stop that. We have to counteract it. We can't stop it. We could counteract.
I love what you said about that too. What was your example? It's like you didn't say porn. You didn't say corn. It was like an addiction.
Oh yeah. Listen, I said men will take sex from women any way they give it. Like that guy in the video. So that's one of the things that we have to kind of counteract. How do we use our judgment to say, listen, this fooling around with woman A or woman B is not going to be in my best interest, short or long term. So I'll pass on it. And most men don't do it. And but women have a capacity to do that better than men. They still do, even though we have a vast promiscuity.
Right.
But women still have the capacity to do it. Yeah, I use this example. I say even prostitutes say no to some guys.
Yeah. I like that. Right. They would say no, but then it seems the other way around. We just,
yeah, man. So in that capacity, I mean, even the 304s have guys they will never sleep.
Right.
For whatever reason. So, the women know how to turn that shit off when they want to. They do. They just do. And they do it better than men. So that's why I think they could be saved a little bit easier. Not easier, but saved more than I think about guys because we are so primal when it comes to sex.
Right.
In general. we know we have all the examples we need from the Bible all the way up to a president of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so so one of the things, I'm kind of switch gears for a second. One of the things that I do with my family, my daughters are grown, right? One still lives with me, one's out. But maybe 2 or 3 Sundays a month, I
Mm-hmm.
cook dinner and I invite them over and we have conversations around the table. You know, me and my wife, my daughters, they're grown now, so the conversation is elevated. But anybody who's still in that house, where you got to hustle and bustle, you got your children with you, you got your wife with you, but y'all never sit down at the dinner table to eat
Right.
together because
Right.
everybody has their own schedule. I would suggest that if there's one little not silly, but simple thing you could do is pick a night where no matter what, everybody converges around the dinner table and start the conversation with your children.
Yep.
And if they're young enough, you might be able to catch some of the things they say to correct them around the table when you're breaking bread. You
Yep.
don't have to do that every night because our lives are so hectic.
Right.
But you can get them from in front of the TV. It's 6 o'clock, it's Thursday or Sunday, whatever you're watching, just record it. Come down to the table. Let's have dinner together and make them eat at the table.
Yeah.
I
like that.
I think that's there's so many things that I caught with my daughters just out of serendipity when we were around the dinner table talking.
Yep.
They would say some things. I said, let's talk about that later on.
Right. Right.
I'm telling you, just you could catch you hear them saying stuff, and then you could catch them. So, and that's not just me. Like I said, I'm no unicorn, but if I could offer some as a simple solution, if you still have any kind of intact family, and even if you don't, there's nothing that you can't pick a day where if you have some kids that's out of your house and you can have them, or the day that you have visitation rights, you're around the table. And if you have a good relationship, even with their mom, man, invite her over. Y'all sit down and talk about certain things.
Totally agree.
Those are simple solutions, and they ain't gonna solve. Maybe it won't solve anything, but it's better than
I know it will. It will. In fact, let me add to that.
Yeah.
If you say, well, I can't make the kids do anything, I don't have any control, let's roll with that.
Right.
If they're not paying rent, if you're supporting them in any way, the trade-off. No, I'm not talking about paying for their love and paying for attention. I'm talking about the trade-off is Thursday nights is family night in this house. I have no problem helping you while you're getting, on your feet. You are working, you're contributing, but on Thursdays in our house, the trade-off, if you respect me at all, if you have any love for the family at all, what we do, we're going to establish, because if it hasn't started yet, I'm going off again, continuing with what our pain is saying.
Right.
If we haven't established it yet, I want to set moving forward. If whatever age, I want to set moving forward in our family. This has become our family tradition. Hell, give it a name. With Friday, Manila and Vanilla, whatever you want to call it. Give it a fun name if you use humor, and listen. Don't automatically have answers for everything they say. Let them feel comfortable to talk. Sometimes, Mom, I don't want to say things around you because you start getting all, Dad, there's no way in the world I want to talk about all that. So learn to have what they call kind of fight fair, but communicate fairly, or allow the space, enjoy what they're saying, and be willing to teach as well as learn. No, Dad. What? No, Dad, for real, we don't even do that. Allow that laughter to be part of life. I'm not being laughed at. We're laughing together at each other. Teach me and let me teach you, and we do it together. So our pain I have to argue and say, I think what you're saying is spot on. And then when you ask, I don't know if it would make it will. Even if the parent's not around to see it, it could be years later that adult child says, damn, now I understand the value of what happened, and I love, and they'll pass on. If you got a house of 4, at least 2 of them will pass on that tradition.
Yeah. When they have their own families, they're gonna make sure that they have a day where they have to. It's funny.
Yes.
I just made. You know what? This Sunday I called it Sunday dinner with my loved ones, and I made a video on my page. It's right there, and I went through all the steps I did to prepare the meal.
Yep.
And then I have pictures of it on the table
Nice.
and all that. And I'm talking about
Nice.
it's cool, man. It might get like 3 views, baby, but it's all right.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
right.
That's
But
all right, because that's how it
yeah.
works. But if you were showing some boobs and ass, you'd be having 100 clicks. But but no, I love it. I love it. I love it. I think those small steps, doable steps. It doesn't take any extra anything. That's a very doable step and tip. I love it.
Yeah, so I'd like to come up here and I have my share of yelling and cursing and all that kind of stuff, and I'm trying to get past that because no matter what we talk about here on BMU Network, I think we should always try to end with what's the solution to this dilemma that we're talking about.
Right.
I mean, not the solution, a solution, a possible solution, something
Possible
that
solution.
says we leave people with something that there's hope, even if it's not for your generation, for the next one, or something to think about.
Yep.
That we can leave as a residual, other than it's just so messed up, we might as well forget it.
Right. Nope. Don't give up the hope. And I agree. I mean, always talking about, I always like the fact that we could be talking crazy, but at the end of the day, it's still about the unity, the community, still about the family, still about brothers coming together, sisters coming together, folks coming together. So I salute you, sir, for doing your part of keeping us entertained and informed and keeping it real. So I appreciate you, boss.
I appreciate doing the show and BMU giving me his platform, and it's for whatever it's very good because I get antsy every time I come up here to do this.
Yeah, I know how you feel. Yeah,
makes me think of a topic that I need to talk about every week, and it's so funny how fast the daggone weeks go. But after this, it'll be Friday. As soon as I get off the air, I say, what am I going to talk about on Monday?
Right. No, I get it.
This one, I actually gave it to him maybe like Wednesday. I had this in mind.
Yeah.
I said, this might be something good to talk about, but from a different angle. Not just baby mamaism, but what is the impact of all of the women? What's the impact based on the men? And I tell you, then the footprint of the men, it really, when I start thinking about it, it's really a big deal.
Yep.
It's really a big deal. So, hey, but like I said, anything else?
Boss.
Okay, no pun thoughts? That's it?
Yeah, final thought would, if I may, the final thought would be, again, for those listening here now live or on the replay, please seriously consider what our Payne was talking about with the numbers. Even though you say that's the government, that's their job, they make enough money, blah, 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 blah. But could some of that be utilized in other ways to support you and the family? Not just now, but even in the future. Could 1 million of that double billion or double million be used in some other way? Also, please consider for your home, what one thing can you do to start that change? What one thing can you do to start that change? And considering our audience, I'm going to say some of them have had childhood trauma, and they may not have the best connections with their parents, may not have the best connection with their kids. But it's never, ever, ever too late to restart that. I know some of them you could be like, the hell with them, they're on their own. But if you have grandkids, you can say, well, I'll start new with them. My kid and I don't get along, but I'll try it with the grandkids. Because they just have to see it. It may take a while, but at least let them see what the potential is. Let them see what the possibility is. And if you know anything about parenting at all, there's no manual that comes with it. So be creative. Be creative with this and do the best that you can. You walk with your head up high and say, I did my part for my family. And the risks are going to come with it. There's going to be a law that says you can't do that with, these are my kids. There's going to be a rule that says you can't, but these are my kids. Have some integrity, some oomph about it. If you got one little breath left, do what you can to keep the family together or give them something for the next generation or the generation after that. Again, I appreciate the space and opportunity to share with you, brother. As always. All right. All right. Take care.
Good. Hey, listen, I catch your show every so often, so I hope you heard that. Hey, listen, hey, this doesn't have to. We don't have to draw this one out if we don't have to. But whoever's in the audience, and I don't follow the chat that much, and I should probably do better at that. But one of these days I will. just getting back to the money, right? I'm not going to get back into those details, but if we're spending that much money for just 3 guys, you could extrapolate that to the 20% of the guys who are impregnating 60 to 70% of the women. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, there's no guarantee that if those monies weren't being spent on taking care of kids that are out of wedlock, that they would come back to the community. But I would imagine a certain percent of it would. I would imagine a certain percentage of it would if we didn't have to just do it trying to play catch up. So listen, it's just something to think about. This is one of those videos and one of these thoughts that let me see about the age-old stuff that we talk about on these platforms. The woman did this and the man did that, blah blah blah. Well, I wanted to try to change the script a little bit without attribution to either side, other than to say you impact people by your decisions. It's not just you personally. For the women, if you have babies out of wedlock, you know what to do not to do that. And I'm not talking about deleting them either. You know how to prevent that. But you have to understand what kind of pressure you put on your parents and your grandparents. And that if that makes a difference to you and you did it once, don't do it twice. If you haven't done it, don't do it at all. Wait till you're self-sufficient, or better yet, have a husband. But you can't even talk about that anymore. So you have to at least do the calculus. If I have a baby, can I afford to live where I live? Can I afford to put daycare? Can I afford to do this with just minimal help from my parents and the people who I might burden? Those are the kind of questions you should ask yourself. And if you're a dude, listen, one kid that you're not taking care of is one kid too many. But 2, 3, 10, come on, man. That footprint is too large. And unfortunately, we gave those guys Pookie and Ray Ray kind of, thing, but Nick Cannon is just a rich Pookie, right? And he gets a pass because he could pay for his kids. And there's some people who criticize him, but not enough for him to stop. So can you imagine the guys on the ground who are anonymous to us other than when they make the news because they got 38 kids by, 25 different women or 20 different women? Man, can you imagine all of those women being, their dreams and their hopes being diminished by one asshole? Come on. So I tell you what, and here's the thing about men. We do come up on these panels talking about discipline and controlling your seed. We do that. But again, I'm the first advocate to say that that's not enough. We got to tell these guys what the consequences are, and we got to be truthful with them that when we were their age, we were spreading some seeds, and we had multiple nights waiting for that phone call from the girl to say, "Yeah, I finally got my period." I've been through that shit, and you got to tell guys the truth, So anyway, I don't want to prolong this. Hey, listen to the chat. I see y'all going back and forth. If anybody else we got time. Anybody else want to come up? Just say yeah. Just get up now, because if not, you know, we can end the stream on this note, and I could catch up with you next week. I hope everybody had a good weekend. Happy President's Day for all the presidents that we're honoring. You know, hey, listen, you guys did something great. I would imagine if we're honoring you. And hey, BMU, thanks for the show. And folks in the chat, thanks for showing up. Hey, listen, with that, we'll make this a short one. Good night. And I'll catch you next week with another interesting story to tell. All right. BMU, if you're out there, take it away. He still got me hanging. I can take this time to go in the chat. Yeah, I'm still here. Don't worry about it. Hey, Trey, I'm sending you. I wish I could type faster. Y'all want some more? I mean, I can keep going if y'all want me to. Hey, listen. A Lost in Translation says, all pain, those women knew this man wasn't their husband. Well, okay. I'm not so sure what you mean by that. It doesn't matter whether the women knew or not. Well, it does matter. But that's not what the angle I was coming from here, right? Whether they knew or not, they still, if you're talking about Nick Cannon, that's one thing. You're talking about the Pookies and Ray Ray, of course they know they're not husband material. But that still doesn't talk about the ramifications, still the same, whether they knew it or not, did it on purpose or not. I don't believe any births are by accident. I don't believe that. I hate that excuse, unless you were living under a rock. You know how babies are made. So that's something that we need to put that one to bed. So I didn't get it quite what you mean by what you put out there, Lit. So I'm reading some of the chats here while I'm waiting. Yeah, Trey Ferg, you said I rush off early, man. Get your ass up here then, man. If you got something to say, man, hit the link. It's got to be out there, you know. You know how you. I'm surprised you didn't do that already. Oh, okay. Are you? You waiting in the back? Yeah, but BMU has to. Somebody's got. I can't let you up. I wish I did. I don't have those controls. I don't know if Lost in Translation could let you up or not. Or anybody else. I see what you got there, Lost. But it's yeah. I'm not gonna. I can't argue with you, Lost in Translation, about them not wanting us to be honorable, but they are not. I mean, but just this particular stream is not about that because all these things could be true. Oh, there you go. Hey, listen, I think Trey Ferg was trying to get up too. Lit. I don't know. What you
Okay,
got? What you got?
I'm gonna go ahead and send the link down so he can come
Okay.
on.
Hey, man, you made a couple of comments. What do you mean by what you put out there that about the husband stuff? What did you mean by
Here's my whole thing, Arpane.
that?
We
Okay.
like to paint the women as victims as if they didn't know that this guy had kids or whatever. Even if they did know, they knew this man was not their husband. I mean, we gotta stop making excuses, bro.
No,
Like
but
for real.
let me ask you a better question. Do you really think I was trying to make an excuse for women by
Oh
this
no,
whole?
no, no, absolutely not, absolutely not. But my
Right,
thing is this: I just want us to start making sure that we're having honorable and honest conversations about what's really going on. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
People aren't people aren't really having the conversation that they need to have. It's like, this girl wasn't your wife. Why you get her pregnant, bro? You know?
Yeah.
This lady wasn't your husband. This lady, this man wasn't your husband. Why you get pregnant by him? So and then we won't have these conversations where we got eight dudes with 97 kids. To me, that's reckless.
It's
That's
crazy.
reckless as hell, man.
I mean, okay, okay. Let's stay on that point. But just because the women know this guy has multiple kids, that should kind of deter her from being another one of his numbers. Correct? So, but it doesn't seem to, it doesn't, I don't know why it doesn't seem to matter, and it should matter, but it doesn't seem to matter. Anyway, so, oh, you just disappeared on me, brother. I don't know if your power went out or whatever. Hey, Trey, if you're still there, he said he's going to try to drop the link. Oh, does your power go out or something, Lost?
No, I'm on my phone, man. That's why everything sounds, different.
Oh,
You know
okay.
what I'm saying?
And so did you get the link out there? Because I think Trey Ferg said he wanted to try to come up. I'm not sure.
You know what? Hold on a second. I'm trying to see if I can find the settings. The link is in the chat. That's how I came up.
Oh, yeah. So maybe he doesn't want to come up. Hey, Trey, if you're out there and you can hear me, the link is in the chat somewhere at the top. Is it pinned to the top or just somewhere in there?
Yeah, it's in the chat itself. As a matter of fact, hold on a second.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, it's in the chat. Except they can click on that and then come right on up.
Right. Yeah. So Trey, if you just got to go back in the chat for a little while, you'll see the link. It's under BMU.
As a matter of fact, I'm gonna see if I can find it. I'm gonna copy it.
Yeah.
Somebody's coming up.
There you go. All right. Good. It'd be nice to get some more opinions. I'm glad Doc came up for a second. That was cool.
Right.
For a hot minute. I kind of like the angle that we want to go, that I'm trying to go on here, because as opposed to us getting back into those pissing contests, what comes first, the dick or the booty woody,
Yeah.
I mean, this doesn't seem to get us anywhere,
Right. But I feel you, man. But,
yeah, man. I mean,
we need to stop acting surprised, man, after like the first 5, 6 babies. You know what I'm saying? Oh wow, I got another kid, all that old foolishness.
Remember that guy came up who had the drink of water? He had the 7 kids and he didn't care about any of them. I forgot.
I remember him.
Yeah.
He was like, well, they knew. I told them I didn't want to have a baby and all that old foolishness.
Yeah, I forgot his name. He had a little drink of water up here for a second. Then he went into the oblivion somehow. Maybe they were chasing him.
They were chasing him down and biting him in the neck. You know what I'm saying? You gonna give me that baby?
Yeah, man. Hey, Big Ant. Thanks for stopping by. I see him in the chat. Big Ant, too. Yeah. All right, listen, man. I guess I know if Trey can find the link if he wanted to. Maybe he doesn't really want to come up. Yeah. So listen, I was gonna end the stream.
Yeah.
Unless you have anything else, let's go ahead and do that because I don't see anybody gonna come up. And I think I hit all the salient points, and we can talk. We can, talk about it some other time. We have a long week. Maybe hit some of it again tomorrow. Maybe hit some of it again on Friday.
Right. I'm trying to log into my computer because on my phone I don't have the same access to everything.
Oh, okay.
So
what you suggest? I do just wait around for a little bit more.
Yeah, because I'm gonna square it up for you.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna see y'all right. But like I said earlier, man, we gotta stop acting surprised, bro. We gotta stop acting surprised, man. It's like I can't believe it. I can't believe he had 5 or 6 kids and all this other stuff. Okay, you didn't know.
What? So you know what, Trey? I mean, he's in the back, so I don't think anybody can see you right now. He said he's waiting in the back.
Oh, let me bring him up, man.
Okay.
Hold on a second. I gotta go back to the channel because I probably sound like trash without all my.
Actually, it's not that bad, man. Everybody can hear you.
Because I can't control my stuff like I want to. You know how they go.
Welcome to your NFL headlines of the day.
Alexa, stop.
Here is an NFL headline.
Alexa, stop. Alexa, keep talking. She been giving me my NFL news updates and all other stuff. You know how it go, man.
That's funny, man. Wait, listen, that's cool. Yeah, Trey, hold on, man. We coming to you, man, for a second. You get up to get his piece in, man. Me and Trey end up on a whole bunch of panels together.
Right. Hold on a second. Let me kill this one. Remove. There we go.
Okay.
And
yeah, so
there you go, Trey.
There you go, man. He said, "You're waiting patiently, man. That's all right, brother." Yeah, so that means you have to have something dynamic to say.
I mean, you know what? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
What's up, Lost in Translation? Brother, I pay, man, hey, I don't know if I got anything dynamic, because we've been talking about these type of subjects for months and months now, from what I know, but, it's just crazy.
But you hit it from the angle that I try to hit it from. The ramifications of both the man's side, the woman's side, or some of the solutions, what you think the solutions might be. Either one.
I mean, I go spend too much time on the man's side. The man, yes, has to be more disciplined. It's going to affect the average working man, 40-hour man tremendously. It'll automatically subtract 20 to 51% of your take-home pay. So if you're young, don't do it. If you old, stop being a fool. It would probably set you back for a very long time. If you're not married, don't live with them. That's what get your own place. Or you just take a chance. If you want to set back your children, because once you have that child's subject to be in poverty, below the poverty level. Is just unfortunate. The child will struggle with emotional issues and not be able to learn and be independent because the mother is going to give him as much as she know. And if she's mad at you, then the baby ain't gonna get too much of nothing. So to continue the cycle of brothers not being able to read, your child, hey, the statistics don't lie. So, you don't want to be 50 years old arguing with your children on the internet, because that's where the argument's gonna take place. As far as a woman, same thing. It sounds good at the beginning, but most of y'all not saving the child support anyway, so you're just using it for your fake hair and fake nails and trying to fund your I don't know, it's a weird lifestyle that women are living today. You think it's cute when you're running around showing your cheeks or just sleeping with different dudes, but it's not. And the worst thing you can do, women, and I don't understand how y'all don't figure this out, is when your child start getting into a certain age and the dude's a decent dude, just give him to the father. He needs that father once his scrotum sac separate from his body. That's when he start taking on all his testosterone. That's when it start building quick, and it builds quick. And if y'all got him around y'all and your friends, and he's watching all your friends come over with their booty out and breasts out, he's having wet dreams about all them little nasty girls. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta be the different. And brothers, this is why you don't have a child, especially today's world. They cutting back on women. I saw it on the news today. I've been saying this for a while. They cutting back on these benefits. Ain't gonna be no SNAP benefits. You're gonna have to go down to the poverty level. All y'all boss chicks, y'all talking about y'all making this money. You're gonna have to report it. You're gonna have to go down to the poverty level and go to school. You have to go to school and work part-time to get your little $150, $200. If it's worth it, cool. If not, give your child to your son. That's another expense you ain't got to worry about. And brothers, if you got a child, get a DNA test. If you know it's yours, why argue with? Just get a DNA test. Go to the courts early, put it on paper, get the child support coming out, whatever income you are right now, making $14 an hour, and just roll with that, and save your money. You can file your baby on your taxes every other year. But if you don't do it, of course, they're not going to say you can do it. And you ain't got to believe me.
Right.
You got to believe me. But to tell the tale in 20 years, as far as, again, the children, I don't know, the children are torn, because once the father starts talking bad about the mother, then eventually the child will look at the father like, man, it's crazy. And then the mother, if she's talking bad about the father, then by the time that child get 12 or 13, he gonna be wild as hell. He ain't gonna listen to you. He ain't gonna listen to her. He might run to the streets, maybe.
Right.
He may be just out here having sex. It may be a lot going on. And he gonna have sex with girls he grew up with. And it's unfortunate that when he should be, and not saying what he should be, but it'd be a great time in his life to be able to learn how to run, jump, read, write poems, write stories, learn how to play instruments. Hell, play volleyball, baseball, basketball, tennis, karate, taekwondo, everything, rollerblade. All that is good for his energy, is good for his psyche. Learn how to lift weights. All that's good. Other than that, he's going to struggle. He's going to struggle. He's going to struggle even learning how to walk like a man. I remember our pain when I was young and little kids, man, we had calf muscles like a mom.
That's true.
Man, we had calf muscles. I knew girls had calf muscles, and they was just so fit and nice. You looking, I used to be 10, 11, looking at the girl like, she look good.
That's true, man.
And now kids, they ain't got no calf strength. They ain't got no feet strength. I remember learning how to do 2-finger push-ups when I was 9.
Oh man, JT just popped back up. He was up for a second. Anyway, yeah, man, I hear you. I mean, listen, you just take some pictures from back in the 70s, 60s, 70s. Sisters were fit like they were fit. They just were fit, man. They look good. I mean, it was crazy back then. But you know, I don't know, man. You know what?
And they smell good. That was nice and they smell good though. Because it wasn't a lot of the extra, it was just natural, just berry. That's what it smelled like berry.
Natural everything,
Yes.
man.
Big old afros and just cornrows and just smell like berries and sun.
Unfortunately, we can't go back there. Let me just tell you, listen, my daughter is a Gen Zer, right? And she's every bit of a Gen Z. I'm telling you, when I talk to her, she's kind of hipping me on some game on how they think, or how some of them think. She's just one person. My other daughter's a millennial. So I had them when I was 37 and 41.
You was
My
old.
oldest was 37. And when I had my youngest, I was 41 years old.
Okay, I'll say you was an old veteran out there.
I was an old dude when I had to, man. So they didn't have to. They grew up without me having to grow up at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So there was some merits. There was some merits to that. That wasn't really by design. It's just the way it worked out. You know. But I think they benefited from me being a little older. But then again, you know, in some ways I might have been out of touch a little bit. You know, but shit, I was a father, so it didn't matter. I used to tell my daughter that all the time. I said, "Listen, I'm your dad. Shit, I don't care what you think." Especially when they were growing up. But I didn't say that too much because I did care what they thought. But man, now being around the table talking to them, man, it's really, really good. I mean, I didn't just start doing this for the last few years. I mean, even when they were growing up, we had a couple of nights when we did this, but the conversations were different. Now that they're grown, you know, the conversations I find them exhilarating, you know, because of what they're telling me as they view the world from adult women.
Yes.
Young adult women. So it's really interesting, man.
And I want to ask you, and I probably already know the answer. Do they thank you for those times and those conversations today?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. My oldest daughter teases me about it. She says, now that I moved out, you know, we're closer than we ever been. When I was younger, you always told me if I didn't like it, I could get out. She says, so when she had the time to get out, she said, man, I couldn't wait to leave. You know, so, but she stayed with me too. She was like 29, 28 years old. And she was able to save a lot of money doing that.
I mean, that's the benefit of mother and father with a foundational home that children can grow. It don't matter if you have 2 children, it don't matter if you have 10. If you got a mother and a father and they working together, yes, look at the difference. And the conversations are much more open-minded today than they were. She's still protecting us. And that's what I think is needed and missed. Like I said, I had 5 sisters in my home. My daddy was the craziest guy I knew. But he worked every day.
Right.
He was an honorable guy. You know, my mama cooked good food. Boy, I grew up off everything. My mama could bake and cook. And barbecue. And barbecue.
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do all that, man. You know, it's funny. I do my wife doesn't barbecue, right? Summertime comes, the smoke is out, the barbecue pit is out, man. I just cook it up. So, I mean, that's one thing that when people say they want their wives to cook and clean, I didn't need either one of those things because I was single for a long enough time that I know how to do it for myself. That wasn't exactly why I married my wife. So she could take over those duties.
No, but see, a wife is a wife. She understands that those things.
But she does. She did. You know, she assumed some of those roles because when we had kids, she had to do all that stuff.
Right.
You know, when I was working. So.
And my family used to think I was a little bit. What is it called? What's it called? OCD. They tell this is what I used to hear as I grew up. My sisters, you know, as I'm a grown man, used to tell me they tell me I used to iron my underwear. But
is that right?
Yeah, but I've always been a neatly organized stuff and had my little 4 colognes sitting on the dresser, everything facing forward. I used to fold my clothes in my drawers and stuff. Because we had to, but as a grown man and as a date, I've always been a neat type of guy. And
let me ask you a question, Ferg. Let me ask you a question, but I cut you off a little bit. Were they jealous of you because you had your own room and they had to share?
Well, I didn't have my own room. I had me and my brother shared a room.
Oh, you had a brother too.
Yeah, I had a brother. He was
younger.
younger, and my brother was your complexion. So go figure. You know what I'm saying? So,
All right, so I didn't know you had a brother. You talk about your sister, so you
yeah,
had a brother too.
Yeah, my brother, you know, he was, I don't know, man. Now, my brother was jealous of me. Now, he was jealous of me. Yeah, I used to have to choke him out to get him to clean the room. And I'll pay you. Look, remember back in the day, before vacuums was popular, man, I used to have to take a broom and sweep from corner to corner.
Right.
And I used to do that without my mother. My mother used to come in my room and be like, boy, damn, your room never get dirty. Mama, I used to tuck my shoestrings in my shoe and face them the same way. And I was always been like that. Always. I don't know where it came. You ought to see me with some of my old Easter suits when I was young, when I was a kid. Three-piece suits. And, you know, I was always like that, you know?
Yeah, man, I was never that neat, man. So I don't even want to go there, man. Forget that shit.
But see, my father was in the house. My father was in the house. Even though he struggled with his stuff, he was there. Right. You know, and it was a family thing. And as I grew up, and I used to always think about the stories he tell me, and my grandmother and both my grandmothers passed away when I was early, and both my grandfathers, one lived to be 94. My father's father was 94, and my mother's father was 84. So, you know, and they were strong people, and I just learned how to respect people and understood my mission and for the most capacity. Now, this is one thing my father hardly ever talked to me about. And this is where I started down. He ain't never talked to me about girls a whole lot.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I learned it from my own experience. Some stuff, you know, when you're young, I had a girlfriend from freshman in high school all the way to college. And I was doing too much. For real, I was doing too much. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't no jealousy, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I played sports and girls, you know, girls from schools and seeing with my little jersey, but it wasn't ever this toxic stuff, fighting and all that. I wouldn't go hit a girl. I never even coached a girl till I was probably 40-some years old. I never had to.
Right. You know? Well, you know, I mean, it was a different time back then. Well, you're in your 50s, though, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, I'm 65. I mean, it was a different time back then, but we had a little bit of all the stuff that's going on now. We just had some of it. It just wasn't to this magnitude. And you were able to tell the difference, you know, between real dysfunction and the way people normally behave. Like, I mean, I didn't, you know, nobody talked to me about that sexual stuff either. You know, I learned from my first girlfriend, you know, because she was a little bit older, you know, and lucky for me, it wasn't a traumatic situation. Some guys and gals, their first experiences are not that good. That impacts them. It impacts them. For me, man, it was heaven, you know. But, you know, when I went to college, man, I was pretty much, I said, man, shit, man, now I'm going to college. I got to see how many notches I could put in my belt.
Oh, man, you was thinking
that. Yeah, I was thinking that, but, you know, it didn't work out that way for me because I was always kind of the, you know, I've had girlfriends all the time, but I was more of a one woman man kind of guy.
Oh, okay.
At the time, you know, I was, because I cultivated relationships. And now that I'm older, I think that's that worked out really well for me because that's why I think I know so much about women.
But I think, let me ask you this. The fact that you say you've been a one woman guy, was it, and we're just going to go back to that time, like high school, early college, whatever. Did you have the confidence to go out there and maybe be a ladies' man at that time?
No, I didn't have the chops for a ladies' man, not from a confidence standpoint. I didn't think I had the looks. When I was 17, when I was a teenager, I had Coke bottle glasses on. They were like this. Okay. They were like this. I used to knock people over with the fucking thing. I turn my head, you know. So I had more confidence than an average bear because I had to go up to a girl with them motherfuckers on and say hello, you know. So confidence was never my problem, you know. So when let me tell you a story real quick. I got some contact lenses. They were hard. I was 20. I finally got some contact lenses. My aunt bought them for me. They were like $500. They were hard contacts, right? So I'm in Buffalo, right? I finally was able to take off by then they had technology made the lenses thinner, but they were still thick shit, right?
Yeah.
And I never did that bad with the women. I don't know, maybe it was charisma or not. So when I got the contacts, I went crazy. I went crazy. I swear, I was crazy. So I lost one, and they were hard. They weren't. So my frat brother came up to me and said, Brother Payne, I hate to say this, man, but I'm so happy you lost one of them fucking lenses. You were unbearable. He said, you. I didn't want to live with you. I didn't want to be in the same house. You was just unbearable. You was all up in people's face, man. You was like, you was just unbearable. That shit humbled the hell out of me. Not because what he said, it's because I had to go back to the glasses.
Right.
You know, so I had to put the motherfuckers back on. I was so depressed until I got the next one. And then they started coming out with soft lenses and stuff.
Yeah.
And now I was able to afford them. But I learned my lesson.
Wow.
Because my arrogance turned into hubris. Are you out of your fucking mind? Are you crazy?
So I pray you went from Clark Kent to Superman and Superman to Clark Kent.
And then when I had to go back to Clark Kent, man, that was a pretty bad deal, man.
Yeah.
So, hey, man, so you learn lessons of life, man. That was one of mine, of being humility.
Yeah.
Real lesson of humility, man.
That's good. You learned it when you did. That's good. You learned it. I'll pay what fraternity are you with?
I'm a Q, man.
For real? Shout out to the Alphas. 06, baby.
Yeah, too, man. I got a cousin who's Alpha.
Yeah, I know. It's somebody in the family. They had to go with it, but it's all good.
I have AKAs in my family, Deltas. We're across the boards.
I have AKAs.
With you.
Mostly AKAs. When I was in college, man, we partied with everybody that was on the yard. The AKAs, the Qs, the Kappas, I think we only had AKAs when I was online. It's like I said, it was back in '86 when college was booming. HBCUs was taking off. You know what I'm saying? HBCUs was cracking.
I'll be frat 50 years in 3 years. I went over in 77. Went over in 77, man. And listen, the AKAs, we reinitiated our chapter in Buffalo.
Okay.
And the AKAs came back on before other sisters sorority. So up in Buffalo, we had a real strong relationship with the AKAs, which was unusual.
Yeah.
So for like 2 or 3 years, it was just us and them. So we did everything together.
Yeah.
You know, and then the Deltas came in and Kappas and everybody else. But man, we always had that bond, man. We kidnapped the Ivies.
Oh, yeah,
they were over my house. Yeah, man. We kept them for like 2 or 3 days over my crib. And your brothers came over, man. Well, we treated them nice, but we pledged the hell out of them.
I tell you, man, it ain't no fun unless you pledge it.
Yeah, man. What's up, man? Oh, he just popped up. So, Edison, back on the topic. Anything else on this one, man? We hit it pretty good, man. I just think that I don't know how we're going to solve this issue. And with the Gen Zs and the millennials, they may they're starting to look at how things are, and I think they're starting to think differently on their own, on how they want their futures to be. And some of it is pretty good. Some of it doesn't need our direction, but some of them need to make sure they don't make the mistakes that came out of the boomers or the Gen Xers.
But I think about it. The topics that are being discussed, those are pretty much it. It ain't a whole bunch of other chaos that you can basically implement on your own self outside of having a child out of wedlock, getting caught up with the law, stuff like that. Other than that, it's about just not being afraid to take on life. You know what I'm saying? We all in America. Like I'm gonna say this all the time, man. Most of us here, we loyal to America. We ain't going nowhere.
That's right.
It's a small percentage, but you still have to have the resources to do that. You ain't no factory worker thinking you just gonna roll up and find a factory job in any other country. So you gotta
forget about going somewhere else to find a job in another country.
Yeah, but if you just do the things that are required for your life, then it'll be successful when you're ready. See, we looking for all this and we ain't even prepared. People still walk around with doo-doo things in their drawers talking about they want to be millionaires. You can walk around. I'm serious. You know,
You're right. You're
you know
right.
what I'm saying? You're not ready for that shit. Don't nobody want no doo-doo money on their fingernail, you know, on their hands. I mean, I don't understand it. You got to put in the time, put in the work. Put in the time, put in the work. Learn how to talk to people of all races. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Learn how to respect people for who they are. Whatever they believe in, that has nothing to do with you when you trying to make some money. They can believe that the sky is blue and green and purple at the same time. And thank you, yes, it is. It's a nice sky. How would you like that in your bag? Or how would you like that? Paper or plastic, man? How would you like it?
Right.
Not the service. That's what they want. Other than that, what else you gonna do? Stay out of positions that you don't know nothing about, and go learn about stuff. Take the time to learn, read, write, record, articulate. Just do whatever it takes, man. Learn how to sew something. Learn how to bake something. Learn how to, I don't know, man. Learn how to measure, how to lay out some steps on your ruler and some wood. Whatever. Learn how to weld. Learn how to do it all. Learn how to talk. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to be on YouTube, just learn how to talk.
Right.
That's it. Don't have no children out of wedlock. Don't live with no woman out of wedlock. Don't
You know,
do it.
man, Trey, you say that a lot, and it's really, you're right. It's really simple things that you can stay away from and have a decent life, you know, without, you know, self-inflicted wounds. And you're right. Having a baby out of wedlock is one of those self-inflicted wounds that not only inflicts you, but it impacts the kid and impacts everybody around you.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the things that as Blacks, what we have lost is the fact that we still have more opportunity than 90% of the world's population. Even after what we came out of, being an American is not a burden, man. We still can do shit that most people around the world can't. You know, if we wanted to do the work, we wanted to do the work. We could pull ourselves out of poverty. We could pull ourselves out of the poverty of the mind, no matter where you are. Because even if you're poor, nothing's stopping you from reading a book.
Yeah, I mean, that comes down to individual thing, but I don't think we're looking at the big picture, because these immigrants are not coming here just to sit back and listen
No,
to
they're
us.
not.
They go
No, they're
come in
not.
here and slide in all these positions because people understand they voted out affirmative action. Affirmative action afforded them to make sure they had to hire the light skin or the dark skin or just a woman. They don't have to do that no more because y'all young people are not going into these positions. You can't. That's just like, you ever heard the old saying, don't quit a job until you got another job?
Absolutely.
It's the same thing. If you
Absolutely.
quit a job before a job, that's a foolish move. And if
This
you
is
don't
the-
go in, if you don't go in to learn the skills that are here in America, regardless, it's a foolish move, because at some point you will age out in the job market. Forget the
Exactly.
dating market. After 35 and you ain't got no history, man, you ain't gonna get no food stamps, you ain't gonna get no nothing, because you ain't got no work history. At least you should have 10 years of work history. Because if you get hurt, you get no Social Security, and Social Security pays itself forward. And if the young people think they can do that, that's cool. And if y'all have all this money, and even if y'all ain't report it, man, bury that shit in the yard. Stop spending it. Wait till you get older, then you can say, okay, but we wasting too much money. Our children are not learning any skills, and that's going to hurt us as a nation. I'm trying to tell you, I see it coming. I've been saying this since I've been in the military. My friends didn't believe me when I used to talk about this stuff when I was in the service in 1991. They used to be like, nah, America, greatest country in the world. No, it's not. It's going to be messed up by the time we get old, start to retire, and here we are.
Here we are.
You know, and it's getting worse because it's affecting the children. The children have no desire to do better. The children are fighting each other. The children are fighting the adults. You know what I'm saying? And it's just getting worse, because as a nation, we got to sort of we all got the same suffering and pains. If you listen to everybody's story, it only comes from us. Our pain comes from us.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And they don't, and other races don't have to move out of our way if we're not trying to move forward. They can create a line and stand there because ain't nobody gonna try to move forward. And that's where it hurts us. We old enough. I done already put in my time. You done already put in your time. You know what I'm saying? I need these millions of young mothers and fathers. It don't matter to me to move the line forward, because their generation and their children are at stake.
Yes, yes, I hear you. I listen, man. That's you got. That's a good last word, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream soon. Somebody's listening, but I appreciate you coming up, man. And let me just say my second last word to everything. But like I said, this I think no matter what we do when we come up here on BMU's network, if we present a problem, we talk about it, at the end, we should have some recommended solutions. It might not solve anything. Wait a minute. But we should never leave these panels without some kind of thoughts on what's the path forward. Anyway, with that, listen, everybody out there, if you're out there lit, hey, thanks for helping me out, man. And let's say good night tonight on the stream, and I'll see y'all guys tomorrow.
Subscribe now.